Signs point to growing concerns over Chinese banks. Shocking! Hubei's Hanchuan streets turn into a red sea of blood after heavy rain. 3 Gorges Dam releases floodwater submerging multiple areas. Aquaculturists' despair leads to death. 6 CCP Provincial and Ministerial-Level officials and senior military officers die in 6 days. Mainland consumption slump leads to store closures. Where's the people's money gone? Thousands of Chinese tech workers denied Indian visas. It's all covered in today's China Truths. Signs point to growing concerns over Chinese banks. The CCP has begun reversing tax policies, retrieving salaries from financial executives, and printing money, yet none of these actions have led to signs of economic recovery. Additionally, some independent media outlets have begun voicing concerns about the stability of Chinese banks. In detail, recent reports indicate that numerous Chinese banks, both major and minor, have started employing debt collection agencies. Notable banks like WeBank, Bank of Sanxiang, China Everbright Bank, Industrial Bank, and Huaxia Bank are actively recruiting professional debt collectors. Online articles in the mainland highlight that even affluent banks have resorted to direct debt collection efforts themselves. There are increasing signs suggesting that the financial sector, previously thriving, is now beginning to face significant challenges. One independent media outlet, Finyu Finance, has raised a question: why hire debt collectors when it involves expenses? The straightforward answer is that the volume of debtors is excessively high. Moreover, as previously reported, there has been a trend of bank consolidations. This month, the CCP sanctioned the merger, absorption, or dissolution of at least 40 rural and small-scale banks within a week. Last month, the National Financial Regulatory Commission released guidelines advocating the merger and restructuring of these small and rural banks. Finyu Finance states that the purpose of establishing a bank is to generate profit, while the purpose of dissolving a bank is to evade responsibility. Whether it involves banks recruiting debt collectors or smaller banks facing dissolution, the underlying cause remains the same: the fundamental assets of small and medium-sized banks, particularly urban banks, consist of land and real estate. With the current sharp decline in housing prices, the non-performing loan rates of banks are escalating, and the value of the underlying assets used as collateral is diminishing. Consequently, the risks accumulated by banks have become substantial. In this situation, banks require profits to mitigate these risks. However, bank profits are solely derived from the interest rate spread between deposits and loans. As loan interest rates continue to decrease, this spread has significantly narrowed. Finyu Finance further expressed concern: indeed, I am starting to worry about the banks. While insurance, mutual funds, and stocks are all financial tools, they are secondary compared to banks, which represent the ultimate baseline of financial risk. If banks begin to fail, the public's deposits could disappear, potentially leading to social instability. Nonetheless, the current CCP leadership is preoccupied with preparations for the 20th Third Plenum, with Xi Jinping focusing on overcoming obstacles for his 4th consecutive term, disregarding economic issues. On the 26th, Voice of America published a commentary by Bai Yan, another independent media person, reporting a profound and unprecedented pessimism in China, which has been recognized by Beijing. However, the government is not planning to alleviate these concerns but is instead preparing to suppress any potential public dissent following the 3rd plenum. The commentary also noted that since May, southern China has experienced another once-in-a-century flood, while the north has faced extreme heat waves and severe droughts. Economically, tax audits conducted in collaboration with the police seem targeted at capitalists, reminiscent of the historical 3 anti- and 5 anti campaigns. Moreover, protests among the labor class are increasing. A particularly alarming signal is that middle-aged unemployed individuals have started targeting foreigners for revenge. These actions are not just xenophobic but represent a deliberate attempt by those in despair to achieve a greater political effect by targeting foreigners, seemingly to send a message to the authorities. The article concluded that as of June, the Chinese populace is enduring severe hardships, yet in the face of an increasingly desperate society, the CCP's response remains indifferent and rigid. Shocking! Hubei's Hanchuan streets turn into a red sea of blood after heavy rain. Recently, southern provinces in China have been plagued by heavy rainfall causing widespread flooding, with water inundating the streets. However, on June 28, according to videos shared by netizens, a terrifying scene emerged on the streets of Hanchuan and Hubei, a vast expanse of water that appeared blood-red, resembling a sea of blood. This quickly drew both concern and attention. Some netizens speculated that it might have been due to a dye spill, which was later confirmed when a Clothing City official reported that dye from a tricycle had leaked into the water. However, others claimed it was a sign of great misfortune. Notably, earlier in April, a similar eerie occurrence was observed in Wuhan, Hubei, when the sky turned blood red, described by viewers as spine-chilling. Some users commented, "So many strange signs are appearing, heaven has given us many warnings." Recently, the province of Hubei has continued to face relentless rainfall. On June 28, from 1:24 a.m. to 11:13 a.m., meteorological bureaus in Wuhan, Xianing, Huanggang, Shaogan, and other areas issued 61 warnings about impending heavy rains. The forecast for June 28 and 29 predicts a strong rain event across Hubei, with heavy to torrential rainfall expected in the southwest of Hubei, the Jianghan Plain, and eastern Hubei, including localized severe torrential downpours. The region may also experience short-duration intense rainfall, thunderstorms, and other strong convective weather patterns. Three Gorges Dam releases floodwater submerging multiple areas, aquaculturists' despair leads to death. This year's flood duration in China was lengthy, impacting numerous regions. Inferior flood prevention engineering and the release of water from reservoirs exacerbated the disaster, once again leading to the plundering of people's property. On June 28, a video detailing the flood situation in Fuyang, Zhejiang Province, became widely circulated online. In the video, a man is seen repeatedly kneeling in the water, speaking anxiously and with despair, as if praying to the heavens. The man appeared to be severely distraught. After several instances of kneeling and bowing deeply, he abruptly stood up, removed the hat he was wearing, and quickly jumped over a fence. The subtitles in the video stated that all the fish in his more than 50-acre reservoir were washed away, rendering his substantial investment of several $100,000 completely futile. Tofu Dreg project leads to disaster. A post on Platform X by Teacherly is Not Your Teacher on June 26 reported severe flooding on Dongzhou Island, Hangzhou, caused by an overwhelmed flood relief dam, built 2 years ago. Continuous rain and the discharge from the Sinan River led to significant losses for local farmers. The accompanying image showed that Dongzhou Island's grape cultivation was devastated by the dam's failure, resulting in economic damages over $10 million. The poster attributed the disaster to poor construction, noting that efforts to repair the dam took nearly 13 hours, during which the island's grape crop was destroyed. Furthermore, floodwaters trapped some residents in their homes for days, leading to severe food shortages. One resident, expressing desperation, yelled at rescue workers, "We are starving to death now, with no electricity or vegetables at home." On June 24, according to the China Meteorological News Agency, the Sinan Reservoir opened 2 additional spillway gates beyond the existing 5, making a total of 7 spillways active. This caused water to cascade down the river channel, creating loud noises and enveloping the area in mist. CCTV News reported on June 28 that ongoing heavy rains had caused significant flooding in several Yangtze River tributaries. This resulted in a rapid rise in the river's water level in its middle and lower reaches, with the Jiujiang station recording a level of 20.00 meters by 1400 hours on June 28, reaching the flood warning threshold. This marked the first flood of 2024 in the Yangtze's middle and lower reaches. Three Gorges Dam releases floodwaters. Furthermore, since June 25, the Three Gorges Dam has been releasing floodwaters. Coupled with rising river levels downstream and continuous heavy rainfall in Wuhan, the Yangtze's water level in Wuhan surged. By 6 o'clock on June 27, the Hankou station exceeded the 25-meter warning level for the first time in 3 years, leading to widespread flooding along the riverbanks. Online videos show Wuhan submerged in water. Highlighting a critical issue, Wang Weiluo, a Germany-based expert in hydraulics, environmental protection, and ecology, criticized China's 100,000 dams. As he previously reported, these dams, fearful of retaining water during the flood season, fail to fulfill their flood control functions, thereby exacerbating downstream flood conditions. He argued that this mismanagement leads to disasters, compounded by the downstream population's misplaced trust in these structures' safety capabilities. Meanwhile, senior editor Shan likened China's 100,000 reservoirs to 100,000 atomic bombs looming overhead. He commented on the dual nature of reservoir construction, where the authorities reap the benefits while the public bears the consequences. 6 CCP provincial and ministerial-level officials and senior military officers die in 6 days. The epidemic situation in China remains highly complex, and there are frequent reports of sudden deaths. According to the Epoch Times, between June 13 and June 18, 2024, within a span of 6 days, at least 6 high-ranking officials and senior military officers from the Chinese Communist Party died, all of whom were members of the CCP. The deceased include Wang Weicheng, the former head of the CCP Central Committee's Policy Research Office, Chen Jinggao, the former Minister of Housing and Urban-Rural Development, Meng Qingfeng, the former party secretary and director of the Public Security Department of Shandong Province, Li Bing, the former party secretary and vice chairman of the Chinese Writers Association, Xing Bingqing, a lieutenant general and the former deputy commander of the Nanjing Military Region, and Yi Jiying, a major general and the former deputy commander of the Gansu Military Region. Over the past 4+ years, the Chinese Communist Party has continually covered up the pandemic situation. Through analyzing fragmented information released by CCP authorities, the Epoch Times has gathered and organized data showing a high rate of mortality among influential figures across various sectors such as the party, government, military, police, scientific research, education, and the arts. Predominantly, these individuals were members of the CCP, characterized by their roles in supporting the existence of the CCP, promoting its ideological narratives, and embellishing its tyrannical governance. Officially, their deaths are often attributed to ineffective medical treatment for illnesses, without mentioning specific diseases. Many of these individuals were considered elites in their fields, but unfortunately, their talents, efforts, and dedications were misapplied. Since its establishment, the CCP has been responsible for the abnormal deaths of 80 million people and continues to persecute virtuous Chinese citizens, accumulating a heavy debt of blood. There is a law of nature that good and evil will receive their due recompense. According to the Epoch Times, the pandemic specifically targets the Communist Party, with evidence showing that CCP members at all levels have been dying in succession during the pandemic, suggesting the CCP's regime is nearing its collapse. Everyone who supports the CCP will become collateral casualties of its downfall. As the proverb goes, a wise man does not stand under a collapsing wall. The most effective method of self-preservation is to swiftly disassociate from the CCP and its affiliated organizations. Mainland consumption slump leads to store closures, whereas the people's money gone. The economic downturn in China continues to linger, marked by low consumer spending and widespread closures of e-commerce and brick-and-mortar stores. This situation prompts a critical question: why is there a perceived lack of money among Chinese consumers? The brief recovery observed following the end of the strict zero-COVID policy soon gave way to more persistent economic difficulties. Notably, the real estate market is faltering, and the stock market has hit its lowest level in 5 years, contributing to high unemployment rates and a decrease in disposable income. On June 25, Qin Rui, a self-media personality from Liaoning, offered insights into the primary reasons behind the economic slump. According to him, the fundamental issue is the shortage of money available for consumer spending. He identified 4 major financial burdens. Firstly, housing costs. The largest financial drain for many is related to housing, both purchasing homes and saving for future familial obligations like marriage. Secondly, healthcare expenses. Medical costs are a significant concern, as unexpected health issues can lead to substantial out-of-pocket expenses, forcing even healthy individuals to save rather than spend. Thirdly, retirement savings. There is a mandatory and significant contribution to Social Security required not just for government workers but for all urban and rural residents, which restricts their disposable income. Fourthly, education and marital expenses. Financial planning for education and marriage also demands considerable savings, further reducing the funds available for other spending. Qin Rui emphasized that these financial commitments heavily restrict disposable income, leaving little for other types of expenditures. He argued that to rejuvenate the market and boost consumer spending, there must be improved access to funds, possibly through more effective Social Security measures. Additionally, a Shandong resident noted a current spending reluctance among the wealthy, compounded by the broader financial difficulties faced by the general populace. This hesitancy to spend is partly attributed to the long-lasting effects of the stringent epidemic controls, which severely affected many entrepreneurs, leading to a loss of creditworthiness and challenges in securing loans necessary for creating profitable employment opportunities. Thousands of Chinese tech workers denied Indian visas. Prime Minister Modi has been committed to transforming India into a manufacturing powerhouse. However, the relationship between India and China has been continuously deteriorating due to border disputes. According to the Financial Times on June 27, Pankaj Mohindru, chairman of the India Cellular and Electronics Association, stated that in the past 2 to 3 years, thousands of Chinese citizens' business and employment visa applications were rejected, and many others did not apply for visas due to the fear of rejection. He explained that Chinese citizens who have been working for American companies in China for many years were also denied visas. India's Ministry of External Affairs and Ministry of Home Affairs, responsible for overseeing visa issuance, did not respond to requests for comments on the visa backlog reported by the Financial Times. In 2020, against the backdrop of the COVID-19 pandemic and the deadly clashes in the Himalayan border region between India and China, resulting in the deaths of 20 Indian soldiers and at least 4 Chinese soldiers, India imposed strict restrictions on Chinese companies. 4 years ago, the Modi government issued Press Note No. 3, referred to as PN3, requiring any foreign direct investment by companies from countries that share land borders with India to be approved by the central government. At that time, the Indian government stated that this regulation aimed to curb opportunistic acquisitions of Indian companies. Although the measure did not specifically mention China, it is widely regarded in India as primarily targeting Chinese companies. Based on information from India's Department of Border Management, 7 countries share a land border with India: Bangladesh, Myanmar, China, Bhutan, Nepal, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. China was formerly the largest investor among them. Data from the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development shows that over the last 20 years, the combined foreign direct investment from the other 6 bordering countries amounted to a mere fraction, 0.2%, of China's investment, making their impact on India's investment landscape negligible. The Financial Times reported, according to Indian government officials, Chinese companies that failed to obtain permission to expand in the Indian subcontinent include electric vehicle manufacturer BYD and Apple supplier Luxshare Precision. However, since the end of 2023, India has accelerated the visa issuance for some Chinese citizens, applicable to projects under Modi's Production-Linked Incentive Scheme, PLI, a program aimed at boosting India's manufacturing sector, providing billions of dollars in subsidies for industries including electronics, pharmaceuticals, and textiles. As U.S.-China geopolitical tensions intensify, and the CCP imposes more controls and scrutiny on foreign enterprises, more multinational companies seek opportunities to move their supply chains and sales channels out of China and develop in other Asian countries. India's current geopolitical status grants it numerous advantages. The Modi government continues to benefit from the China Plus One trend in many Western and Asian countries by shifting business operations and investments towards China's neighbors to mitigate production and supply chain risks associated with China. Many multinational companies in key economic sectors now not only consider India as an alternative option for long-term capital investment but also recognize the country's own market appeal. India, the world's most populous democracy, has been advocating Make in India for 10 years under Modi's rule, aimed at creating job opportunities and boosting exports. This initiative aligns with global enterprises seeking factory locations outside China, including in countries like India and Vietnam. India has already successfully attracted some multinational companies, including Apple and its supplier Foxconn, which are building factories in southern India. On June 23, U.S. President Biden and Modi held a roundtable meeting at the White House, meeting with technology leaders from the U.S. and India. CEOs of tech companies like Apple, Alphabet, and Microsoft attended, mainly discussing investment opportunities and challenges in India. Modi also met with Tesla CEO Elon Musk. Apple CEO Cook stated after the meeting that India represents a huge opportunity. Major semiconductor companies, such as Micron and Applied Materials, also took advantage of Modi's visit to the U.S. to announce significant investment plans in India. Don't forget to leave a comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more interesting topics from China Truths.